How's everybody doing? It's game week. Long awaited. Ready to get started? All right. Just kind of give you an injury report, reminder, and then, y'all can, because these guys will be out for the year, so I won't hit those. And then anytime there's somebody in the week that we know 100% is out, then we'll put that up here. But Bryce Robinson, Trevon McAlpin, Cam Cantrell, and Matt Young are out for the year, and so don't expect them back with their injuries. Guys this week that we know will not play are Cam Watts. He's still a couple weeks away. Derek Lewis, feel really good about him. Should be back possibly by North Carolina State. And Gabe, those are the three guys that will not play this week. I've got a couple of other guys. Jordan Brown, we'll know at the end of this week where he's at. He's got an ankle. And then Cole Spencer, decision again on August 31st this week. Everybody else we expect to play, which is we're in really good spot when it comes to health whenever you say that, because we had a really physical camp, and for just having those guys out, it's big for us. It says a lot about Drew and his staff, has a lot about Lance and his staff of what kind of shape we're in, and then, of course, with Hannah and dietitian. So those are the guys that will be out. This is going to be a great game. You got two teams that are led by defensive coaches. Coach Hood does a great job. You can see their turnaround in 2020, one of the biggest turnarounds in college football. The last two nights I've watched them play Cincinnati. Should have been up at halftime against a team that played in the Final Four. Missed a kick right at the end of half. They would have been up 10-7 against Cincinnati at Cincinnati, and then played Bowling Green really tough. So saying that, they're not going to come in here and be intimidated by us. So we're going to have to do a great job of being the best team at 7 p.m. In that stadium. Two teams that are very effort-based. Usually get that with defensive coaches, head coaches, and watching them, that's one thing that we're going to talk to our guys about, who's going to play harder the longest. And so excited about playing a team like that because y'all know I've said from the day I've gotten here how hard we're going to play as a team. So it's good to play a team like that. They've got a quarterback coming back that's very athletic, so we're going to have to really be responsible whenever it comes to the zone read and making sure that we're putting the ball in the guy's hands that we want it to be in. Tough thing is they've got a veteran running back in Weatherspoon that's coming back that's a really good football player. They returned 5 or 6 on offense and 5 or 6 on defense. So this is a veteran squad that's going to come in and give us a really good game week 1. So, again, excited about playing these guys. With that, I'll open it up for questions and kind of go from there.
You just mentioned a lot of individuals on the offensive side of the ball for Murray State, but with how good they are on defense, is there anyone that keeps coming up on tape that you guys are going to have to look out for?
I think as a whole, they're young. They're young when it comes to the offensive line. Defensive line experience-wise, but they have some linebackers that have played a lot of football. Number 34 in particular keeps showing up on tape. They've got a safety or corner that's playing safety. He's played both. That's a really good football player. The one thing about Coach Hood, I don't know him personally. Coach DeRuiter, they kind of come from the same Coach Grobe. You got a defensive coach. He coached for Coach Stoops at Kentucky. So I expect them to play really hard and really sound when it comes to the defensive side of the ball.
Just a good amount of fumbles last year, too.
Yeah.
How much have you guys been emphasizing ball security against the Racers?
It's every day. That's what we start with. We actually start with ball security and takeaway every single day. If you come in there when we come out, that's where you're going to hear the purge and the sirens going off, and our guys hear the same, song every single day for both sides, ball security and takeaway. And probably when y'all have come to individual, you've heard me say that the most whenever I'm on the offensive side of the ball. We want to protect the football and cause turnovers, and I know those guys do too. And so it's going to be good. It's going to be good to play a team like that emphasizes that so much.
Hey, Coach, you've done all this work. Give us your thoughts now as it's in the game week, how you feeling, and getting ready to make your debut as the Red Raider head coach.
Well, first of all, great job last night, both of y'all, man. Y'all crushed it on TV. My lovely wife, who's in the back, she was saying I'm never doing that again, but I thought she did a great job. So there's a chance, when y'all ask, she'll be on TV again. Y'all just let me know. Even though she's going to say no, we'll get her on there. Excited. I mean, it's like one of the deals. Kirby was talking about it earlier the last couple of days of like November 9th. It seems like it was just yesterday, but it's also a drawn-out process of going through spring ball and going through your first camp, learning each other as a coaching staff and a strength staff. But I'm really excited. It's one of those deals that I hadn't been a head coach in front of a team going out on game day in the last 5 years. And so, I really do believe that, God put me on this earth to do that. And so I'm really excited to give that pregame speech and lead those guys down the tunnel. It's going to be incredible.
Coach, you've been talking to Red Raider fans on social media. What do you want to say to them that we can get out to get the fans ready for Saturday?
I will tell you this. Our guys have worked their tails off, and I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but I'm going to say it this way. They deserve for the fans to be in the stands. They did it for basketball, and they make an impact. They do it for baseball, and they make an impact. And I'm telling you, our guys have worked hard enough to get the same. And, I hope everybody shows up. All I've heard all my life, been a part of it twice, but it's been a long time. It was like 1990, but all I've heard all my life is how hard it is to play in Jones AT&T with a 7 o'clock kick. And, why not start the year off right by having everybody there at a 7 o'clock kick and having these guys' backs?
Challenges of heading into a week one opponent where you have to rely on game film from a year ago where they might have changed schemes over the offseason on offense and defense?
I think more and more it's become even more of a challenge because of the transfer portal and different people losing different players and then guys picking up different players. So I think it's, we've done a lot of research. Coach Hamby, Monday is our personnel day to where our guys come in and start looking at the personnel and watching film, and we've had to, go and grab different people's films because you got different transfers. I'm sure they're doing the same thing whenever it comes to some of our guys and who's going to play on Saturday. So it's tough, but, coaches, we're creatures of habit, and we're going to do what we know and what we know is successful. So, I'm expecting them to play with great effort, but still be in a scheme that really caused some problems for different teams last year. It helps us a little bit. The one thing about our staff is Josh Cochran and Kirk Bryant actually played them last year whenever they were at Austin Peay. And so just the familiarity of being in that conference helps us a little bit going into this game.
Hey, Coach, the offensive line has been a big focal point all offseason.
Right.
Now that it's game week, do you feel like it's ready to go for the season, and where does it need to improve still?
We're ready to go, but it's going to also be, I think, a real battle. We're planning on playing probably between 7 and 8 offensive linemen in this game for a couple of reasons. One, we want to see what these guys do, of course, in a game. But there's still some position battles. That right tackle is a real battle with Ty coming back. He had a great week last week. Monroe has made a huge stride in his pass blocking this last week, so I'm really excited about that. And, again, I just continue to challenge Hamby, like, are these our best 5 guys? Whenever you have a room that you really are too deep and you have a guy like Jacoby Jackson who had a great camp, is he better playing – does he make us better playing right guard instead of backing up Weston at left guard? It's just one of those deals that's going to be a couple weeks like that to really see where we're at. Because, I've said it since the day I've got here. I mean, if you're going to win at a high level, you're going to win at a high level because you're O-line and D-line. And, that's something that we're going to continue to stress. I do think we are light years ahead of where we were in the spring.
And then a couple of freshmen showed up on the depth chart on offense, and Coy and Bryson. What do they bring, and how much do you expect them to play?
I think, both of them. I mean, I talked to both of them. I talked to all my freshmen the other day about, making sure they understand that you can still play in 4 games in redshirt. But talking to both of those guys, I told them that, there's a chance that might not happen just because of their skill set. Bryson, he moves up the depth chart because of Cameron. I didn't have him on there. I should have had him on there. That he's not playing this week. Cameron Valdez. Sorry about that. But I think he moves up. So he's still going to be in good shape that we have to redshirt him. We can because Cameron should be back, by North Carolina State for sure. We feel like by Texas. Coy brings a lot to the table. This is a kid that led the nation for whatever reason, was an under-recruited kid, but led the nation in receiving yards and catches, and he brings a lot to the table when it comes to wide receiver, but he also brings a ton to the table in the return game. I feel good about our returners, but, throwing him back there, he's just natural at it. He's a big body, and so I would expect him, to possibly play in 4 games in redshirt, but if he does what he's been doing in practice, then there's a chance he doesn't redshirt at all. It's one of those deals. It's like they understand this. They came here to win, and they came here to play really good football, and they know they can help us do that.
Coach, and I bouncing off of Jared's question there. With the offensive lineman and the quarterback situation, you did mention that all 3 quarterbacks will get playing time this weekend. How has the chemistry been with the O-line and all 3 quarterbacks so far?
Really good because, and it really helps that they're very similar where they're dual threat guys that can really prolong plays with their feet. They can move in the pocket. And so it helps the O-line that they're all 3 the same. And it also helps Kitley because Kitley doesn't have to change the way he's going to call the offense no matter who's in there. Now, the one thing about this week, it will be packages for the other 2 guys whenever they come in. We'll have a really distinct way we're going to use them. But it really helps the O-line that they're all the same. They know, they're going to step up and get the ball out, but they're also going to be able to run the ball. So in the run game and, in the passing game, it helps that they're the same. If we had a guy that was just a prototypical, statue pro quarterback back there versus a dual threat guy, it would be totally different. But this way, they're used to all 3 of them and they're all similar.
Position battles that were going on throughout camp now that you kind of, I guess in a way, named a starter for certain positions or anything that we didn't know?
No, we feel good. I think Matt's giving you a depth chart. If you hadn't, we'll make sure you get it. But I think we're good, where we're going. I mean, I will tell you that, like in the D-line, Jay Boog is kind of the leader in that group. But we got 5 guys that, we're going to roll with that it doesn't really matter, who's in the game. They're going to be able to, really play hard and play a certain number of snaps versus having to play 70 and 80 snap. That's going to make a big difference. And we've been able to create some depth in the outside linebackers. So excited about those guys, excited to put that defense on the field. I think that's one thing that is you're really going to see. I think you probably saw it in the Liberty Bowl, but I think you're going to see it even more as it grows. Guys are really understanding their role and being able to play really fast and really hard on this defense.
Go to Brandon and Chuck and Don. A couple questions. With Cam Valdez, what exactly is he dealing with?
It's his knee. It's not a surgical deal. He's got a strain, and he's just not. He's running, but we're not ready to put him in a game yet.
Talking depth chart, kicking-wise, Trey Wolf and Gino plan on just splitting reps with them first game, or kind of hoping to see somebody break out this week?
They both have had great springs and great camps. I mean, we feel good about. I think it's going to be a feel. Trey's the guy that's going to be kicking off, I feel like he'll probably go out there, right off the bat, kicking the first one. But it's kind of one of those deals with those 2 guys. Whoever Kenny feels like warm up the best, ready to go, and the other guy, he'll be ready to go too. I mean, we're going to use both of them.
Coach, when defined play caller on offense and then with Coach DeRuiter on defense. Have you thought about your role on game day and how that matches up and what it is that you'll kind of specifically do during the game?
Well, that's the interesting thing for Saturday because I have not been on the sideline with these guys. So the biggest change for them, I think the two things is one, they're not continually calling. So what I mean by that is when you're scrimmaging, you've got an offense and a defense out there continuously. So there's never a time that they're taking a step back and adjusting. You know, they're kind of adjusting on the move, so they're never have been able to where they sit down and, you know, make the adjustments. I don't believe the hay's ever in the barn. We're going to adjust from the time we kick off all the way through the game. With me managing the game, you know, I'll, again, probably lean a lot more on the defensive side of the ball whenever it comes into the game. But, you know, that's one thing through spring and through camp, I've spent more time probably with the offensive side of the ball, becoming more familiar with what we do on that side of the ball just because of my defensive background. But more of the game manager, making sure our guys are ready to play, you know, holding them accountable of how hard they're playing, and then substitution-wise of helping make sure we got the right guys in. But that's going to be a different dynamic that not only the coaches but the players have not seen because I've been more of the administrator whenever it comes to our scrimmages. So I think it's going to bring even more energy to the sideline. I don't know if y'all believe that or not, that I'm kind of an interject guy, but I do think that's going to add even more of how hard we play on Saturday.
And then finally for me, can you describe what a package might look like differently for Barron than maybe what Shuck or even for Donovan?
You know, the one good thing about all three, they'll have the grasp of the offense. You know, whenever we go with our two offense, Barron and Donovan are both getting reps and everything. But, you know, I think it's one of those deals that you're going to see Donovan in certain red zone situations. I mean, he's one of the guys. Shuck said the other day, he goes, "Coach, you know I can run the football." And I said, "I know you can." And he's going to. But I think you'll see Donovan come in some red zone situations. I think with Barron, it could be a change of pace, really moving the pocket with him. Because the one thing that Barron, you said it last night, one thing that Barron does well is he's probably the best. All three of them do, but he's one of the best throwing on the move. He's got a really live arm, and so there's going to be some stuff like that where we can move the pocket with him. You know, but my plan is to get them all three in the game and, you know, and not to where it's at the end of the game or anything like that. And I know they're excited about that. And the one thing that will just keep evolving is their package and how we're going to use them at different times. And, you know, we got some surprises for a lot of people whenever it comes to those three quarterbacks.
Joey, the last 5 years, were you on the sideline or in the press box?
Man, I was on the sideline until this year, and we got beat by Oklahoma State. And, well, actually going into that game, regular season game against Oklahoma State was the first time in my career that I'd been in the press box. And so Coach felt like that he needed some older eyes in the box, and so he asked for volunteers. And, you know, I didn't like being up there, but all I want to do is win when it comes to the kids have heard that. You know, I tell them all the time I love them. I tell them all the time that they came here to get a great education. But the one thing about me, when that ball's kicked, all I care about is winning. You know, I don't care who's in there. I don't care what your last name is. But when that ball's kicked for 4 quarters, my job is to win football games. And so been in the press box for about 3 or 4 games, and man, it wasn't very fun. I was like a caged animal up there. Sean Bell, actually, I threw my headset, and he goes, "I don't know if I've ever seen anybody throw their headset in the press box." So, you know, something like that. It was tough. I'm glad to be back on the sideline.
So this is your first game as head coach in college. What do you remember about your first game as head coach, in high school or period?
Oh yeah, we played the Colony at home. And you know, it was ended up winning the game, ended up winning it, you know, pretty handily. But nervous is, you know, I'm nervous anyway, on game day. You know, just excited, but I'll never forget the feeling of really, you know, that your feet are where you're at and this is where you're supposed to be, feeling of like, you know, every one of y'all probably have this feeling of like you were put on this earth to do this, you know, and man, I really believe that, you know, and I remember that feeling of like almost like, God, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I know I'm going to have that same feeling on Saturday and can't wait.
Who has gotten the number 3? Have you decided that yet?
Yeah, we're going to announce it. I do know who's going to get it. We're going to announce it 3 days before kick, just because of like doing it like that. I think it's going to be great to honor, you know, Luke and his family and talking to his dad. You know, he and I were texting last night. He was asking me, and I feel like we have a good plan to do it, and it's kind of a good story because it didn't turn out the way I thought it. You know, as a bet man, I would not have bet that this is the way it was going to go, but it's really, I think it's going to be a cool story.
So, y'all did take a vote, right? Or not?
We are going to. Yeah.
Okay. A couple other personnel questions. How's Taj moving in the last few
Good,
days?
really good. Had a great day yesterday. Yesterday was our kind of to run out any kind of soreness from the mock game, and he looked really good. He ran this morning with Drew and his staff, so we feel really good where he's at.
The same thing on Josiah Pierre and Mason Tharp with time that they missed. How are they looking?
Yeah, really good. Mason had a really good week. You know, I think he was in the yellow jersey on Tuesday and was full go on Wednesday. It was great to get him back. Josiah's man looked really good. I mean, he's one of the guys that really sets the tone physicality wise. You know, and playing good defense, we always talk about setting edges. That's the one thing that he does as well as anybody that I've been around is setting edges. And so I'm excited to see him play and really turn it loose.
Any other questions?
Hey, you had Joseph Plum on the 2D.
Yeah.
I know you talked about him before, but just his progress.
He's a tackling machine, man. I mean, like, if you go back and, I mean, just look, y'all can check out the spring game. I mean, he probably led the team in tackles. He's a coach's kid. He's going to be a coach whenever this is all said and done. Really high IQ. And the one thing about those positions at safety, we do a lot of stuff. And so they've got to be able to get us lined up and be vocal and, you know, be sure of themselves. And that's one thing that Plunk is, you know. I joke, I don't think he got it from his daddy. I think he got it from his mama. And, you know, I'm excited about him. I mean, from day one, just excited about guys like him and Drew Holcutt coming and Hayden Wigington, you know, coaches' kids that get how important it is to win football games, change your culture really quick. All right. I think Gio's up next, right? Hey, it's game week. It's good to see y'all. You bet.
right, good afternoon.
Who wants to start us off with the first question? Jared. Coach, I noticed Coach Stein made a big push and is listed as the starter at will. I asked Coach McGuire a couple weeks ago about it, but just your perspective on what he did in camp in this offseason.
Yeah, he had a good spring, not a great spring, but he flashed in the spring, and we thought, moving him inside might be a better fit for him. He's a really smart football player, and I think his ability to diagnose a play and understand the game and where he needs to fit, along with his speed, really allowed him to make a ton of plays in fall camp, and he separated himself, and I think he's going to be one of our best defensive players this year.
And it just seems on paper that having Rabbit and Muddy and Pearson on the field at the same time is a real strength. Can you just discuss what that adds to the defense and how it helps?
Well, you got three guys there that have played a lot of football. They understand the game. They're fast football players. They're all physical and guys that can cover and guys that can blitz. And so having that combination gives us the ability to move guys around a little bit. I like Mudd being close to the line of scrimmage. He can play man coverage on a slot, but he can also blitz and make plays off an edge. And both Reggie and Rabbit can play a deep half. They can play the post and also play man coverage. So having those skill sets really bodes well for them fitting our system, and I think it's going to allow them to make a lot of plays.
Earlier, Coach McGuire did mention the leadership and the depth with you guys' defensive line this year. For you, going into this game, how is their leadership and also with them maybe taking less snaps going to be crucial for you guys?
You're talking about leadership in our defensive line? Okay. Well, you look at guys like Tony and Jay Boog. They've, again, been here a while, played a lot of football. I've noticed both of them in the off-season program when I first got here in the weight room, how hard they work. Just the leadership example they set for everyone else. But I think what's really helped is bringing a couple of guys like Miles and V in to keep pushing the competition. So they knew they had to show up every day. And I like, the mix that we have right there. And, Phillip's a guy that has made some progress too. When competition can push guys that are, the older established guys, they know they can't rest. And so having that good competition every single day, I think pushed all of them. And the standards that they're going to hold for the entire D-line, I think, can be held, really high, because if you're not ready to go, get the next guys in and there's not a big drop-off.
Coach McGuire did say Murray State has a very strong veteran defense as well. So do you think going into this week one game, it's more going to be a defense versus defense battle with experience-wise?
Well, they definitely have a very good, experienced offensive line. They've got a center who was first-team all-conference, very good football player, can play in a lot of different leagues. They're a team that's going to, I believe, if they do what they've done in the past, try to establish the run. That's been their MO, and then play action pass. To do that, you've got to have a good offensive line, and I think they believe they do. And viewing, from my end, they do. So it's going to be a challenge for our guys, and we're going to directly challenge them. That it's going to be one up front. Having said that, I don't think it's our defense versus their defense. It's our guys playing to their standard, regardless of who we're playing against, and I know our offense will do the same thing.
At the Murray State offense, who are some of the key players that really stand out that you guys are going to have to be paying attention for?
Well, I think it starts with the quarterback. He was a guy that was the offensive player of the or a freshman player of the year for their conference last year as a redshirt freshman. He's a redshirt sophomore now, so he's a guy that's played some ball. He is definitely a dangerous guy with his legs. He moves the sticks. Very athletic, 6'2", about 210-pound quarterback. He's the second leading rusher on their team, and he didn't play the entire season. So that gives you an indication. Their running back, number 31, Williams, it's not William, but number 31, he's a guy that is very physical. Again, another all-conference type player for them. Last year, you see him running through a lot of tackles. He can be really patient and then explode. He's a really good player, and they've got their top three receivers back.
taking a win out of this conversation, what do you want to see from your defense this weekend?
Well, I want to see our guys play hard and with confidence. Anytime you put a new scheme in, there can be some questions in certainly when we first got together in the spring, they didn't know exactly how things fit. We've run a lot of, reps, particularly with their ones and twos. I expect that there may be some, tweaks that they're not going to have everything down. But we should play our fastest that we've played since we've been here. And I expect our guys to play extremely hard, extremely fast, and play with a, an attitude that we're going to get after people.
Which kind of bouncing off what you were just talking about before with the backfield that they have. When you have two guys like that bring so much different things to the table with how they run the ball, what are the challenges of going up against a team that brings so much to the table when they can run like that?
Well, it makes a heck of a test. On Monday, it was Sunday, so in our week, that was first day of the week. The first thing I showed our defense was their first two drives against the University of Cincinnati last year. And they go right down the field, put a nice drive together, convert a number of third downs. They end up throwing an interception in the end zone. They get the ball right back, go right down the field and score again. And, everybody knows Cincinnati was a heck of a team last year and it had a really good defense. So this is a very capable team. They've got most of their players back. And so it's going to be a veteran group that's going to play here with a lot of confidence and not be intimidated, I don't believe. And so our guys, need to know they're going to be up for a challenge, and we've got to meet that challenge. And while we've got a lot of respect for them, it doesn't matter who we play. We have to play to our standard.
Anything else for Coach DeRuiter? I think, Coach.
All right, great.
Coach Kedley, notice you're going to be on the sidelines. I guess what's the philosophy on that, and who are your eyes in the sky to kind of help you kind of see what's going on from up top?
Yeah, just from early in my career, kind of in this system with how we operate the play call process, it's kind of always come from the play caller who's on the field and via hand signals and all that stuff. So kind of done that, just kind of what I've always known. And I also like being down on the field with the guys, being able to call them over, be able to talk to every position on the field. Clearly I'm going to have some of my assistants down there with me, but being able to talk to people and, get in the ear of the quarterback and some of that and just be able to breathe confidence in those guys while we're down there. I just feel like it's not the same when you're talking to them through the headset or through a phone from the press box. So just something I've always kind of done, and I feel more comfortable with that. As far as in the box goes, I'm going to have Josh Cochran up there. He's going to kind of be my main eyes in the sky. And, we'll have Lou Bunning, our offensive line GA, up there also looking into the box and some of that too. So that's kind of where we'll be.
Coach, with the offensive line this year and also with all three quarterbacks playing on Saturday, how has the chemistry been with the three of them with the line this year in your personal opinion?
Yeah, it's been great. Again, I think if you talk to anybody on our team, they love all three of those quarterbacks. They're all leaders. They all do a really good job. So I think kind of when any of those guys come in, throughout the rotation, throughout fall camp, I think they were comfortable with all those guys back there, and I think the chemistry has been great with them all up to this point.
Coach, with Cam Valdez out, what have you seen from Bryson Donnell to kind of lift him up to that third spot?
Yeah, he's done a really good job. I mean, you talk about a true freshman coming in and really having to carry the load, with Taj just kind of being nicked up, nothing serious there, but very precautionary on him, of course. Bryson's got a lot of reps over the last week, and it's been really good to see by him. He's really improving. You know, he's a great runner, downhill runner, big back type of guy. You know, and he's improving in pass protection, which is probably the newest thing for him coming from the system he played in there out in East Texas. So he's really come along well, and we're excited to see him this weekend.
And at right tackle, Monroe Mills and Ty, what do you kind of need to see to separate one from the other to get that starting job?
Yeah, you know, his the big deal between them two, you know, Ty had been out for about a week. You know, it was kind of we're flipping those guys back and forth, and then Ty had a slight injury that kept him out for about a week, and so Monroe had kind of taken that job over and has done a really good job. And then we got Ty back this last week, and here comes Ty again. So really just looking for the most consistent and the guy that does his job the most and plays the hardest at the end of the day. You know, we've got practice tomorrow morning and Wednesday afternoon, and we'll probably try to make that final decision by then.
We'll go next to Mason and Jarrett and then Jeff.
Smoot Iowa State seems to be their big kind of defensive weapon. What stands out to you about him?
Yeah, he plays really hard. You know, I kind of like to call him like a blue collar type of player. He likes to get gritty and make a lot of the dirty plays, if you will. Not scared to put his face in there. You know, he's been our leading tackler 2 years in a row now. Definitely the key, player on their defense. You know, plays that Mike linebacker position. Seems like he's kind of the guy that gets them lined up. Seems like a very smart player. Again, I'm sure he's the team captain of the defense. And so, you know, watching the film, seeing his stats over the last 2 years, clearly he does a really, really good job. Again, I think he's a kind of blue-collar, hard type of player that plays hard, plays the right way, the way I like to say it. And, yeah, I'm sure he'll show up a little bit on Saturday.
Joey mentioned a lot about how they've been watching that Cincinnati game from last year. What have you noticed about their defense in that game that you're taking away from that?
Yeah, you know, I think Coach probably hit on it too. You know, their head coach, Coach Hood, he's got a defensive background, and when you watch them play, you know, they're very sound. You know, not a lot of penalties, not a lot of MAs. They kind of are who they are, but they line up and they play very, very hard. You know, they kind of have the MO kind of that we do, that we're trying to get here at Texas Tech, that we're going to play harder than you every snap. Those guys have that. And so, again, you know, I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a defense that comes out and probably plays what they play. Again, being in the background of their head coach. But they're going to line up. They're going to be very sound defensively and play very, very hard.
Jarrett.
Hey, Coach. Henry Teeter seems like the least heralded of the tight ends on the roster away from the facility, but is consistently run with the ones. What does he bring to the offense?
Man, he brings a lot. You know, can't speak highly enough of him. Just his leadership, his toughness. You talk about a guy that's been banged up all camp long and never missed a day. Just nothing crazy, but you know, maybe a swollen ankle here, a banged knee here, but nothing crazy. And he brings toughness. You know, he's a really smart football player. He does everything right. You know, we talked about being a brand here, and he was probably the first guy that, you know, I noticed, in my opinion, that when I was here, that, hey, this guy's the brand. You know, he's tough, he works hard, he's competitive. You know, he's kind of got a little chip on his shoulder being a walk-on as well, you know, and so, but man, he's phenomenal for this football team, not just this offense. And again, I can't speak highly enough of him. I'm really excited to see him this weekend as well.
And then Miles Price, he seems poised for a monster year. Just how do you plan on utilizing him this season?
Well, I don't want to give away too many of my secrets, but no, Miles is phenomenal, as y'all know. You know, kind of the leading receiver back on this unit from last season. Excited to be able to find different ways to get him the ball. You know, at the end of the day, to me, that's what the game's about. It's not necessarily about the play you call, it's about the player you get the ball to. And he's one of those guys that you go in every week and you say, hey, how do I get this guy the ball? So excited about Miles as well and see what he can do this year.
Coach, taking a win out of the answer for this, what do you want to see from the offense this week?
Yeah, you know, I think, again, you look at, you know, don't beat yourself. You know, it's our plan to win, number one. Don't beat yourself. So you're looking at, you know, pre-snap penalties or celebration penalties, some of those things. Play a clean football game. That number one coming out, always going to be that every week. And number two, play with the Red Raider speed and violence we talked about playing with. You know, we want to play harder than everybody else, and we want to play tougher than everybody else. So I think if you can come in, you do those two things, and then clearly, you know, protecting the football, not giving the other team the ball. If you can do those three things, I think you're going to have a really nice night every time.
There have been some heralded offensive coordinators that have come through here, whether they were the head coach calling plays or just been the official offensive coordinator. What does it mean to you, with your history with this school, being able to add yourself to that list on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm just honored to be back at Texas Tech, you know, in general. You know, I love this place, love the community, love West Texas, love Lubbock, love the school, love everything about it. Again, this is a dream job for me, and just being able to go out there on Saturday night with a double T on my chest, it means the world to me, and just excited to be here. All the other stuff is whatever. I just want to win for this, again, for this school, for this community, for these fans. It's what I want to do here.
Hey, Coach. Coach McGuire mentioned a little bit about Coy Aiken as well, and that he's going to be a big presence even on special teams. But what do you kind of see him throughout the offense as well? I mean, obviously, a great offensive weapon there in high school, especially that senior season. What do you expect out of him this year?
Yeah, you know, he's really come along. You know, he was another guy that had a little tweak early on in fall camp, so he missed about the first 10 days of camp, but ever since then, he's really come along. I think you're going to see a guy out there that plays really, really hard. He plays the game the right way. Again, you know, he's kind of a, you know, Stephenville High School, blue-collar type of kid. Hates to disappoint the coaches. Plays very, very hard every snap. He's a big physical kid. Again, I'm excited to see him. You know, I think you're going to see, in my opinion, I think you're going to see a lot of Coy Aiken this fall. You know, I think special teams wise, he's going to help out Coach Perry a lot on that front too. But offensively, you know, over there at that Z position and being able to rotate him in different facets of our offense as well, I think he's going to come up big for us at times this year.
We'll go next to Pete, and then Mason will finish with Don.
All right, Coach, can you talk about Tyler Shuck and maybe what you've seen since he was named the starter and as he prepares to take over the opener here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen nothing that I hadn't seen before. You know, I think Tyler, from day one when I met Tyler, he was kind of the same person he is today. You know, he's a guy that wants to be the leader, likes to be the leader of the team. Guys follow him. You know, I think it was probably, if you ask him, it was probably somewhat tough for him going through camp, you know, because he's a guy that believes in himself and believes in his abilities and you know, probably thought that, hey, maybe I should have been named the starter earlier or whatever the case may be. But he's been phenomenal, you know, and again, at the end of the day, at this position, you want a guy that people want to rally behind. And, you know, again, at the end of the day, no matter what situation you're in the game, you want the guys behind you to say, hey, we got this guy about to get the ball and go take us down to score, and they believe in that. And I think that's the biggest thing that he's done is get these guys, not just offensively, but defensively as well, to say, hey, we got Tyler Shuck back there, let's go win this game.
And can you talk about a local guy who crushed it at New Deal in Lubbock, Cooper, Nehemiah Martinez?
Yeah, fired up about Nee. That's what we call him around here, Nee. Excited about him, man. He's a jack of all trades. You're going to see him in a bunch of different facets of the game as well. He's another kind of guy you're excited about finding ways to get him the ball just because, you know, he's played running back, he plays slot receiver. He's going to be all over the field on special teams, I believe, and excited about him. You know, love the local guy, but another thing great about him, he's just a workhorse, man. He comes to work every day. He's one of the toughest guys out there, one of the most physical guys. Really excited about him to see him Saturday as well.
Kind of bouncing off that with Tyler again, with how much emphasis you put on the quarterback in your offense, what ultimately led you guys to choosing him as the guy that would fit your mold the best, and how much say did you have in that call to make him QB1?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, when you go back and you look at it, all three guys had a great spring and great fall camp, but ultimately I think just his grasp of the offense was just a little bit better than the other two. You know, he's very, very smart, very cerebral, has a great understanding of what the opponent's doing, you know, understands fronts and coverages and blitzes probably just a little bit more than the others. And, you know, again, it was never going to be a deal where Coach McGuire and I were battling at who it's going to be. You know, I think if you were in this building, no matter what position you were, from the head coach to the offensive coordinator to the GA to the student managers that work with us every day, I think it was pretty apparent that Tyler Shuck should be QB1 around here. And so that was, again, it was never really a discussion that Coach McGuire and I had. It was just kind of apparent that that's where we needed to go with it. And that's where we went, and that's where we are.
Zach, with what you have at the skill positions, could you see yourself possibly being pass heavy 1 week or pass heavy in certain games and run heavy 1 week or run heavy in certain games, or would you like to have a balance week in, week out, or could it be more dictated by what the defense is more vulnerable to?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you go in every week and you say, how do we attack them? You know, what's their weakness? You know, are they not as strong up front? So can we run the ball? Or hey, maybe to me they're corners. That's the biggest weakness of the defense. Let's attack the corners. I don't necessarily believe in, hey, let's keep it 50-50, or hey, I want to be 65% pass, 35% run. Again, I think the game is going to dictate a lot of play calls. I said it again, you know, it's kind of more about the players than it is the plays. You know, if we get out there and we can't throw the ball, we got to run the ball. And if we get out there and we're struggling to run the football, then we're going to probably put it in the air a little bit more. To me, I think that's how a game goes, and as a play caller, that's how I see the game. Not necessarily, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? I think you got to do what the defense gives you, and also attack the weakness of the defense week in and week out.
Also, a couple of years ago, there's a picture, I guess, of Barron with Graham Harrell, since he was a West Texas kid growing up around here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any pictures of you with any Texas Tech football hero? Were you ever on autograph day? Were you ever in the line versus at the table signing your autograph?
Man, I'm sure I could go find some. I'm gonna have to ask my mom to go back to the archives and look. I'm sure there is some. You know, moving here in 1999 again. I mean, I was around the whole greatness of what was here for the longest time. You know, and I went to a lot of stuff. I remember going to the old Mike Leach football camps and all that stuff. So I'm sure there is. I can't think of any off the top of my head. You know, since I was a young kid, you know, I got one in my office with me and Pat, but other than that, that was a little bit different. So, can't think of one right now from a younger age, but I'm sure I've got some somewhere.
All right. One more.
I don't know if you want to give this away or not either, but how much do you script going into the game, plays?
Again, it just kind of varies on who you're playing. You know, are they more of a multiple defense? Or are they more of a simplistic defense? You know, I was told a long time ago, the more complicated the defense, the more simple the game plan should be, and the more simple the defense, the more sophisticated the game plan can be. You know, I learned that from you know, Coach Kingsbury, one of my mentors, and I kind of took that at heart because, you know, if you know where the defense is going to be, well, then it kind of simplifies from the vantage point of the quarterback what you can do. And if they're very multiple and they mix things up all the time, they maybe don't have so many tendencies in so many areas. You want to be able to give your players, you know, different opportunities to, you know, for a quarterback, for example, go through a progression read instead of saying, hey, they're playing this coverage, this is probably where the ball's going to go. Give them more of a progression read, so they just have to go through reads that way.
All right, that'll conclude today's press conference. Thank you.
Thank y'all.